Hello, Tesla Nation! You're watching the Tesla Life live with your host, Mark Coughlin!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show with sound effects. Thank you so much, Casey. Thank you so much, Patrick, for the intro. Welcome, everyone. It is show number 295. Here we are on the 22nd of February, 2023. Welcome, everybody. And got some diverse weather, and we got a bunch of news. First, introductions. Joining us, as always, we have Mr. Casey Green joining us from the undisclosed location. How are you today, sir?
I'm pretty well. If I'm glistening, it's because the undisclosed location has high solar load, and it was above cold weather outside, so there was just nowhere for the heat to go except higher.
So Casey's bathing in what temperatures of 70, 72, 75 outside?
72 outside, 82 inside, with
all right,
with fans going and everything.
Very good, very good. And Patrick joining us from the West Coast. How are you, sir?
Yeah, so Casey's too hot, and my power walls are in storm watch mode because we have a winter storm going on. So we've got the extremes happening today. Crazy weather, crazy world.
And here in Southern Ontario, it's sleeting rain. We got freezing rain happening. We've got temperatures hovering around -1 Celsius. And it hasn't been a pleasant day here. But luckily, I had no place to be on the road today. So everyone's safe at home. So that's a plus when bad weather strikes.
Yeah, absolutely. My mailbox sent me an email, said, yeah, nobody's coming in today. I'm like, man, it must be bad if you guys, like in snow country, have given up. Because like we were in the middle of another one and they're like, all right, we're open for business. I was like, that's foolish.
Yeah, like I saw the weather report today in the evening news, and it like cuts the nation in half. So up the upper points of all the way from Los Angeles up into the plains, the Dakotas, and across. Casey's just south of that border, and Patrick's up in the corner of it. So we're smack dab in the middle of the snow country. So lots of fun today. But let's get on to the news, because there's always a ton of Tesla news. And this week is no exception. Our first
real quick, while we do that, first in chat was that wasn't me, it was Derek Ludwig, and we've already got ourselves quite a few. Everybody's already flashed on the screen. Derek's showing his weather. Very good, very good.
First story Patrick's going to handle, and it's a bit of a reversal from the White House.
Yes, that is right. So this comes.
Learn how to say something.
Tasmanian, and it's titled, "Joe Biden praises Elon Musk for opening big part of Tesla's Supercharger network for all EVs in the U.S." And I'm going to say, if you drive down from Canada, you'll probably be able to charge too. So maybe it's one's in the U.S., not for the U.S., but I'm pedantic like that, whatever. So here we go. Here's a nice quote. Here's what he said. "In building our EV charging network, we have to ensure that as many chargers work for as many drivers as possible. To that end, Elon Musk will open a big part of Tesla's network up to all drivers. That's a big deal, and it'll make a big difference." And I have to absolutely agree. Having had other EVs that were non-Teslas, the charging networks are pale in comparison to Tesla's network. So if I were a non-Tesla driver right now, I'd be very excited about being able to use the best charging network that's out there. And whether you want to measure it by uptime or charging speeds, availability, number of stations, number of stalls. On every metric, it's
repair rate.
Yeah, I mean, in a few months, Tesla builds out enough that's as the size of the other existing networks from the other companies. I mean, they seem to be the only ones that actually realize this is important. This is what matters. You have to be able to have this as your only car, or else it's going to be relegated to just some little runabout. And a vast charging network that is fast and reliable is a must-have. And I wish there were other companies that were as dedicated to that as Tesla is. But if this is what it takes to get us there to a future free from fossil fuels, then I'll take it.
Yes. So do we think that Elon might vote Democrat again? Or is this not enough to
I don't know what Elon's voting. Like it's crazy, whatever he's doing.
I wish he wouldn't talk about it. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
It was supposed to be a joke about how they hurt his feelings, and so he said he was going to not vote for them. And
I mean,
is he a little less hurt now?
If someone's throwing rocks at you, you're not going to back them. I mean,
Warren and the lady in California and Sanders, they were after him, and Mr. Reich, but he's not really a politician anymore. He's more of an activist. What do you call him? I don't know what you call him. Yeah.
Well, it's I guess Elon had talked, of course, with the White House a couple weeks ago, and they were trying to get this out of him. They were trying to get the commitment that they were going to move, and there was a time frame that was coming up. We talked about that last week, and Elon had decided, I guess he's made his decision, because he is guaranteed that at least 7,500 stalls will be shared in the United States for all EVs, if not more. And quickly after Patrick's statement that was read off between Joe Biden and Elon back and forth, there was a notification from Tesla itself talking about the number of chargers that are open currently in the United States, which is somewhere near 18,000 stalls are available in the US. And the big announcement was that they plan on doubling, at least doubling that amount by the end of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
So 50% for this year, 50% say for next year will push them over that number. Tesla has been pretty consistent with Tesla supercharger expansion, somewhere between 40 and 50, 60%. It has been for a number of years now. So it looks like they're just planning to keep the status quo and keep the charger base growing. And of course, that will be music to the ears of people that use those superchargers. And that will, somewhat negate the strain put on it from other non-Tesla EV owners. Being able to double it within the next 2 years certainly is going to be a plus for everyone involved. So that was great backup to hear from Tesla itself on its Twitter account this week.
Also, David brings up a really good point. Plus, U.S. subsidies will accelerate the supercharger build-out, so I doubt we'll see much increase in congestion. That's David's. I'm going to tack on to that and say on our thumbnail for this video, or for this stream, was a drone shot of a supercharger, but it was a V3 supercharger. But one thing you'll notice is in one corner there was a mega pack. A mega pack comes with its own set of incentives, so that could further accelerate this, as well as make them both battery backed and possibly even with the solar canopies.
Very cool. That would be awesome. Yeah. So Oregon just got a new supercharger station, 51 stalls. It's in Sutherland, Oregon, which is right along I-5, about the center of the state. Well, on the left side, but in the center, north-south wise. And so that's not a big city. But it's a perfect in between if you're driving through the state. If you're going from Seattle to LA or whatever, it's a good spot to stop. And I think that means there's no span along I-5 that's more than 60 miles between superchargers.
And that was one of the goals for the IRA, was to put these 50 miles apart. 60, 50, no big deal. I mean, if you still have an actual 50-mile car in 2022 and it's not like an old Nissan Leaf, we've got bigger issues looking at Mazda. Derek asks, how will non-Tesla owners know where to find supercharger locations? Will they get a nav map? Yes and no. So when you open the Tesla app and you go over to charging, it tells you where the nearest supercharger is. And I'm guessing if you don't have a car, it'll tell you the nearest one to you. And there you go.
Yeah, and there's always alternatives like a better route planner or supercharge info. I mean, there's lots of ways to find
I have a feeling that if this
Tesla
is successful, I think Tesla is going to update the app, and maybe some navigation features will leak its way into the app over time. Because
that trip planner they had the other day on the website was cool. I'd like to see that in there.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's going to happen, especially with many other drivers wanting to use it. And of course, Tesla knowing that they don't have the same architecture in the car to display what Tesla drivers can see. So having some of that leak into the application would make a lot of sense for the non-Tesla chargers.
Even for Tesla owners to be able to do the Tesla route planner without having to go out of the car first.
Yeah,
I mean, like a day like today, you and Patrick would be like, if you didn't have the car in the garage, you would be miserable on the way to go figure out if you can make tomorrow's trip or not.
I don't know if it'd be quite miserable, but I get your point.
David has a question for you, Patrick.
Oh, does it have a lounge? Oh, I don't know. I have not been there yet. That's a good question, but it's Sutherland, Oregon. If you want to go look it up and see if it has a.
It doesn't. I don't believe it. I don't. They haven't shown in the pictures that it has a lounge. There were pictures released of
this
the
could be like the one in Germany where it comes later.
Yeah.
For Derek, does Better Route Planner app work on your cell phone? Yes, and then they also have a web app, which is what it was originally, and then you can do the full-on website if you have a tablet or PC with you, or laptop, obviously. Hope you're not lugging around a PC while you're driving. I hope they go slow with implementing the chargers. No reason to ruin Tesla. Yeah, absolutely. They hopefully they do this intelligently. With all the data they've
got to, and just saying that they're going to have a minimum of 7,500 stalls, and we just told you that they currently have 18,000 stalls. So obviously there's going to be some selections based on distance, based on where they feel availability is required. All that kind of stuff is going to play into the decision as to which ones. And of course, we haven't even said it's not all the chargers. Maybe it's going to be at a certain location 3 or 4,
right?
And the other 8 will be strictly Tesla. There's a whole number of ways that this can roll.
And we don't even know if they've ramped up manufacturing of the adapters, and if they're going to just like put them on at the regular maintenance cycles, or if they're going to have a push to put these adapters out. We know that the network is ready for it because they've been doing it in Europe, and they added Australia and New Zealand got theirs as well when Australia did. Right?
And they've been doing some testing in Hawthorne. And
Hawthorne has been tested.
All that stuff is going on. So it'll be interesting to see what the first location will be, where the first location will be, and who will they just leave it for us to discover that this has now appeared, or will this? Got to believe that there's going to be some fanfare. Anyway.
Somebody's going to flip the switch in the app too early, and then the party will be like 3 weeks later.
Maybe next week at Investor Day.
Exactly what I was going to say. Yeah. I bet you they show off Magic Dock at that event.
Could be. Maybe. Next, here's a story, non-story, really.
Another government story.
Tesla, of course, was found that Autopilot has been having some issues that it can, in some circumstances, break the posted speed limit. So the
TSA,
National Transportation Safety Board, has decided that a recall is in order, and Tesla agreed to have the recall. And of course, that was a story that went out on the airwaves. That 360,000 plus Teslas have been issued a recall, and of course, it's an over-the-air update. All that happens is they go in and they update the software. They press a button, it pushes it out to the fleet. And in the morning, everybody has the update, or the next day, everyone has the update.
Right.
So again, it's the networks, the news networks. They're not understanding what Tesla does for these updates. It's not call your location and book a day to come in and take a day off work, and all that stuff disappears. It just comes to your car wirelessly overnight through your Wi-Fi connection. And then the next morning, you've got the update and everything has been set in the car and you're on your way, not missing a beat. But
that's not a clickbait headline, Mark. You don't know how to do media.
All right. So what was interesting to me about this were several things. First off, this recall is in the power steering system. Like that's how they classified it, because they had to put it on something, because FSD isn't something you can just check on everybody else's car. And the other thing that stood out to me was the exact number they called out is 362,758. And the way they classified that is cars with the FSD software downloaded or pending. So what I was curious of there is, at some point Tesla had said they had almost 400,000. Is that cars in the continental U.S. or is that all the U.S. cars like Guam and Puerto Rico? Because if it's all of them, then we now know how many in Canada have selected FSD beta and downloaded it as well.
Yeah,
because that's the only other place you can get it. And if not, then how many of those stragglers, like in Puerto Rico, Guam, etc., are not included in that number?
Cannot be that many in Puerto Rico and Guam, really. Come on.
Right.
How many can there really be? Yeah,
not anywhere as much as Canada. No. Part of the other issue is
Hawaii too. Yes.
Oh yeah, Hawaii. Hawaii, I think, would be included as mainland because it's a state.
All
like
of those states and U.S. territories would be covered by this.
The recall would qualify them all, but I don't know if they would count in the count.
Why wouldn't they? Why would they not count if they're part of the U.S. territories?
It made me wonder. It was that everybody.
Anyway, okay. But like Mark said,
part of the reason that the NHTSA made this punch list is the car at intersections that have nobody around. Remember, we had the problem with the selection with the rolling stops, and they fixed that. But their fix was literally to the letter of the law. The car gets to 0 and keeps on going if there's nobody there. So the speedometer reads 0. And apparently they want it to pause first, like a human should. They didn't like the behavior at yellow lights, where if the car feels it can make it, it will continue on. Or if it's not at the set speed, it will speed up and go through the yellow light. And they didn't like the way that it handled some turns at intersections between red lights, yields, or just right-hand turns. And so they made a punch list, and Tesla is able to check off the boxes and do the recall and get it out of the way. And a lot of folks are saying, well, what makes them think it's going to be any different? Well, when the three of us complain about it, Elon is surrounded by all these people who are just falling at his feet and say, it's perfect, I never have a problem with it. So maybe he doesn't hear us. I mean, I know that the Chuck Cook turn was one thing that they addressed, but I imagine that even Chuck Cook is getting it drowned out by the people saying that there's no problems with it. This thing should be a taxi tomorrow. So I'm actually kind of happy that they gave, because these are actual engineers. It's their job to actually go through and explain in engineering terms. You know, Elon and his people are engineers, and so they could just translate that directly into the fix for us. Versus, with the rest of us, we have to say, oh, we used to have a button we could push, and now they have to guess why we turned off FSD. Whereas in the past, at least we pushed the button, they would know that they didn't like something, so that's why they did this. But now it's like, oh, maybe they saw a cheeseburger.
Although I hear audio annotation is coming back.
Yes, that was what I was going to get next. Yeah. So now you'll disconnect, and they'll say, why did you disconnect? You can push the speech button. You can say, it was going to run through a pothole, or I didn't like how close it got to the curb, or did you not see that puppy? Cheeseburger.
I just felt like driving.
I changed my mind. That was a great sale.
This cheeseburger show title right there.
Right, and David brings up a good point. Who doesn't drive like this at times in the U.S.?
Yeah. I sped up to get to a yellow light.
It's tough to have an automated system, though, because it's going to be required to follow the law. Yeah. If the majority of drivers don't follow the law, okay, that happens anyways. But is the Transportation Safety Bureau really going to allow an automated system to break the law? I don't think so.
Well, I mean, if you go
something's going to have to change.
You make the yellow, did you really violate the law? Although I will say that mine has got caught by the light twice, and I will say in the same period of time, I got caught by the light more times than that. Personally.
Yeah. So it's questionable, but this is all gray area that never had to be addressed before because it was all up to the individual driver. When you mandate that 1 million plus vehicles are going to follow a certain set of rules, I think at the beginning they're going to err on the side of caution and say just follow the rules. That's all that's going to be there for the start.
But the less human the system behaves,
yeah,
the more likely it is to have problems because it doesn't act like other drivers.
Yeah.
Drivers have an anticipation about how a vehicle is going to behave, and if it's doing something that's not human-like, then it's going to cause more problems.
And maybe they'll have the chance to prove that to the safety board, but in the beginning, there's no way they're going to say just go ahead and break the rules or bend the rules. I just don't see it.
Well, but like Casey said, the two things they asked to change, they were following the letter of the law. They had come to a full stop. Sure, it was like a millisecond of zero, but which is unhumanly fast. But they met that requirement. And the other one with the yellow light, if you weren't going at the speed limit, they would speed up to the speed limit to get to the yellow light in a timely fashion. Again, they're not going 15 miles over the speed limit to get through it, like
a lot of people would do.
Like some people would, yes.
But they may be going a little bit over. They may be going 5 miles over.
Yeah, whatever the speed is. Yeah.
And when it comes to the stop, I know in my jurisdiction, it's not just a stop; it's a 1 or 2 steamboat timing issue. Yeah. When you come to a stop, you have to come to a complete stop, and the vehicle has to be stopped for a certain amount of time. Now, no one's getting picked up on this in real driving. I agree. Right. It's not happening. But again, that's individuals that could be pulled over. They could be ticketed. All that can happen. But with a system that's rolled out to 1 million plus vehicles, it's a different game.
Yeah. So Hockey Day brought up a good point right there. One thing I forgot to mention was another item they pointed out is the way that the car behaves when the speed limit drops when you're in the city. It doesn't do anything. It just goes into coast mode. It doesn't regen. It doesn't, like, you can see it adjust. Okay, you're going from 50. All right, now I'm gonna do 35, and until it coasts there naturally, it could be a mile down the road sometimes, depending on how drastic the speed limit drop was. So that was another thing.
Or if you're on a hill.
Or if you're going down the hill, it could be even longer. So that was one thing I'm glad that they called out, because that's something that's got me and several other people who, because the law in the U.S. and Canada is when you hit the speed limit sign, an imaginary line drawn out from that sign, you need to be doing that speed limit or lower.
Which means you need to start slowing down before the sign.
Right. And so the way the car does on the highway is at the sign it starts slowing down, which is enough to get you a ticket if you got officer quota there. But
sitting right on the other side of a lower speed limit is the perfect spot to perch and pass out tickets.
It is. And most of them will, if you start slowing down immediately when you pass the sign, most of them won't bother you. But the car doesn't do that in FSD mode. It only does that in Navigate on Autopilot mode and regular Autopilot mode. So if you're doing 45 in a 25, that's bad news. And I'm glad they finally addressed that. And
Derek's right. People do get mad when a person doesn't go through a yellow light. They stop instead. People get mad at that person. But again, these are all things that are going to come to light when you have a system that's pushing it out to so many cars. Right. It's something that we're going to have to feel our way through. There's going to be pushback. There's going to be upset at people, and people are going to say, "I'm not using autopilot because it doesn't drive like a human enough, and I get beeped at, and I don't want to be beeped at." So that kind of stuff is all going to happen as this starts to roll out.
I mean, nationally, you've got all that. Like Derek said, if you get rear-ended at yellow lights, Tesla's going to see enough rear ends at yellow light that they can push back against NHTSA, NTSB, everybody, and say, "Hey, we had a system that works for yellow lights. Audi knows it to the second when the light's going to turn green, so let us use this."
Yeah,
but you're also right about the colloquialisms. Like in many places in the Southeast, if the light turns green, you can have as the light's turning green, you're gonna have a bunch of people blasting out of the left turn lane, even when it's not their turn. And in other parts of the Southeast, after the light turns red, you'll have another 6 cars go through.
Oh, I hate that. I would end up getting hit because when my light turns green, I'm going.
I do that too. And I lay on the horn, like I let them get with the issue.
Yeah. So remind me not to drive in Oregon because Patrick's out there somewhere. Just
no,
waiting.
we don't know. It's we don't have to. Only if you like to run red lights will it be a problem for you to drive in Oregon. If you run red lights,
he's still not going to hit you because he doesn't want to be down a car for half a year or whatever.
Very good. Next, who's going to take the New York unionization story? Was that me?
I have the last one. So
okay.
The Giga Texas folks, they want to make a union, and in addition to that, it's a separate story.
Giga Texas?
Giga Texas?
Sorry. Giga Texas? I meant Giga New York.
Okay.
You had me scared. I was like,
yeah.
What?
Texas
I did not see that story.
They don't even know how to spell union in Texas.
Right. Giga New York wants to form a union. They've been talking about it. A separate story. A few folks have been fired, and they have alleged union busting. And Tesla has put out a statement saying that this is why it's wrong. We'll see what actually happens. And all the folks that say Tesla and Elon are anti-union, that's not the case. Remember, they own several union shops. They've got the Michigan shop is very likely a union, and the German shop is not
has a workers' council, which is a lot like a union.
Right. We're talking the automation plant, not the Gigafactory. Is unionized, or like Patrick said, it's very much like a union. Elon's problem has always been with UAW, so we'll see where this actually plays out, and we'll see.
UAW is not the shining example of all the great things a union can be. No. It is not.
Right. No. They have a lot of skeletons in their closet already. Absolutely. But like Casey was saying, this story has been a back and forth where the people are saying there's union busting going on because people are getting fired, and Tesla turned around and submitted information about, 11 of the 12 people were fired before there was even a union vote going to happen. So
exactly,
we didn't even know that was going on. Therefore, it has nothing to do with it. So a little back and forth going on. And of course, when a union is trying to gain prominence in a shop, there is going to be back and forth stories. I'm not sure. The truth probably lies closer to the middle as opposed to either side. But it'll be interesting to see if New York does go union, because that will be the first Gigafactory that has gone union.
Gigafactory and the first fresh union, like the first one that Tesla didn't buy that already had union.
Yeah.
Was it actually people so I thought it was data labelers that were talking about this.
That was one of the arguments. I didn't read the because of the nature of it. I didn't read Tesla's response. I skimmed real quick. By skimmed, I mean like I didn't even I caught a couple words and I was done with it. But yeah, so they said that the part of the allegations were about bathroom breaks, and they're like, as data laborers, the bathroom breaks don't matter because, I mean, not saying don't get a bathroom break, but they're saying that Tesla has no reason to tell you not to take your bathroom break because it doesn't affect the work.
Well, there's like a line. There's no line.
The line doesn't stop or whatever. Yeah.
It's not like Amazon where you're like, hey, again, allegedly, you're not like in the truck and they're saying you can't stop at McDonald's and go take a leak or something. Allegedly.
Yeah.
The interesting thing here is I'm wondering if there's a indirect correlation of, my manager's telling me that I'm not doing a good job. I'm getting performance managed. They say if I don't do better, I'm going to get booted. I'm going to get fired. Oh, and wow, these guys are talking about a union. If there was a union rep they had to go through, they couldn't fire me. Depending on how your performance is, you're interested in union. There may be some relationship there. I'm not saying everybody who wants a union's a slacker. That's not what I'm trying to say. But if you're a slacker, you might be more interested in a union.
Right.
Yeah. Could be.
Just a little maybe.
But again, unions have their place. There are certainly examples in history where unions been beneficial to employees.
Oh, absolutely.
5-day work week, 40-hour work week.
Exactly. Yeah. These are
sick
awesome
days,
things.
All that. Although apparently, if you're a train worker, you don't get sick days.
Yeah. You could argue there are some places where we still need better unions because there are workers being abused for profit, and that's ridiculous.
If only all our unions could be as strong as the police union.
Well, let's
So I
move
must
on
say
to
that.
let's move on to the next story, and I want Casey and Patrick to guess what I am when I'm doing this.
Uh-oh.
That-
Is he swatting at flies? Is a signaling? Is he trying to
I
get rid of balloons
am
overhead?
a worker at Giga Berlin trying to get in from the parking lot into the house, and I'm swinging at drones. Just like that.
Oh, I was close when I said swatting flies. Yeah, okay.
Exactly. Apparently that or something close to that has happened at Giga Berlin because Tesla has now banned drones for regular flyovers at the Gigafactory. Apparently there may be some open days that are announced when it can happen in the future, but as of now, all drones are banned on Giga Berlin's factory site.
is a 7-ton helium-filled drone.
Yeah, drones are banned. What about big old balloons? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. What about Chinese spy balloons the size of 3 school buses? Are they allowed?
Yes.
Absolutely.
You asked for this, Elon.
Absolutely. So now they've got those huge balloons from 60,000 feet all floating around the factory. Yeah.
With the TV sports zoom lens.
Right? Yes.
But, we've always said this, that there's, especially at Berlin, there was a huge amount of drones that kept flying there. And we're seeing it at Giga Texas as well. We're seeing that with being able to spot machinery that's being built inside the factory because the drones are hovering on the outside. So I don't know what will happen with Texas if that will start to happen as well. But obviously it was too much of a bother at Berlin for some reason.
Yeah, what is the reason? Let's do some speculating.
Berlin started with the 14-year-old who they kicked out initially. He was the first one in Berlin, right? And they said no, and then he asked Elon. Elon said okay.
Yeah.
And
of course, Shanghai had drones, but Shanghai was built so fast that the drone couldn't get up in the air quick enough to see the construction finish. Yeah. But
the drone pilot was trying to change batteries, and boom, it was done.
So David brings up a good point about satellite overflights. You could actually pay SpaceX to get on. Well, I guess you'd have to be a government first, but you'd pay SpaceX to get your camera put on a couple of the.
It'll be interesting to see if this policy goes to other locations, or if the other drone pilots are more maybe can they be self-controlling, that they're not buzzing every hour of the day. Which is difficult because, of course, you've got different groups that are vying for it. You've got different YouTube channels that are trying to be the best, and you've got people that are putting drones up constantly whenever they can, and these are all different individuals. So it's I can't say I'm surprised this happened.
Right. The other thing you got to look at is laws and regulations. So perhaps they can't do it in the U.S. unless they have overflight over humans or something. That doesn't mean they won't declare themselves an airport, and boom, it's done.
Right. I wonder, so it's not like Giga Berlin came out with a set of rules and said, here are the rules, and you have to follow these, otherwise we're going to not allow drones. They just said, we're not allowing drones.
Right.
So I'm really curious what happened.
Yeah. One of the story will come out a little bit later, but that's what happened earlier this week. So we will see.
One of the speculations I heard was that Tesla recently got burned for trying to install their solar panels in the parking lot. We talked about that. And maybe that data leaked because of drones, and that's how they got the violation. But they got the violation for not having the permit. So anyway, I'm curious if someone at Giga Berlin thought, "Oh man, these guys got us in trouble. Let's put an end.
Let's end it. Yeah. Let's end this piece of information that's available to the public free. And it is probably almost in real time. So
what I would like to see is now for some of the guys who are more enthusiastic or more moneyed, get some of the heavier capacity units and get some real telephoto lenses up on there and just go around the perimeter.
Right. Yeah. You can walk around with the high power lens and they can't tell you to get off public property.
Yeah. And you can be on the sidewalks on stilts so you can get over those pesky fences.
Well, the drone can fly, so we can go to the fences.
Oh, interesting. You're saying have a drone that just flies the perimeter, but not on their property.
Yeah,
Okay.
with a
still
high power
use a
lens,
drone.
not necessarily the
Right.
TV, because that thing.
I
weighs
thought you meant
1,000
just
pounds.
walk. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No, I mean, like I get a good like a Nikon or Canon or something up on there.
Speaking of equipment, next story, Tesla in their store has dropped the price of the CCS converter charger.
Yes.
It went down 30%. It is now available in the store for $175 US, $240 Canadian for our Canadian viewers. And it's a 30% drop. So that's good to hear. Always good to hear when the price of charging or charging accessories drops. Patrick, you have one of these already? Question mark.
I have a CHAdeMO adapter. I do not have a CCS adapter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are both of your cars too old for it? As far as like they when you go to the app, they're like, "Hey, you appointment's coming soon."
Appointments coming soon for the 3, and I have no idea if it's even an option for the X. But I'm not interested in using the CCS network at all. We just talked about how Tesla has the best network and how Oregon's covered in them. It's littered with superchargers. It's awesome. I love it. So yeah, I have a, but I don't want to disparage anybody that has to use these. If that's where you live, that's the network that's available to you. That's the one that's convenient for your commute or whatever, or that's the way you get to your in-laws for the holidays. Awesome. I'm glad that they have this. I'm glad. We were just talking about how Tesla's going to open their charging network to other vehicles. Well, this is sort of the opposite. Now Tesla makes it more accessible so this is where we need to get to, where anybody can pull into any place and plug in and get the juice they need to get on the road and live their life.
Agreed.
Yeah,
I was just in the app checking to see if it changed for me or not. It still says appointments first part of the 2023, and I was also noticing that my charge is at 16 amps on a 50 amp circuit. So.
Is you're not plugged in all the way, or?
I don't think it's that. I think it might be time to replace the outlet already, because they like it
getting
unplugged whenever possible. And
okay,
that unless you got an industrial plug, it's not really rated for repeated pluggings like that.
So we'll have to see if this drop in 30% is going to push up sales of it. We're going to be out of stock shortly. We'll have to see, but. This it's always good news, whether it's the dropping price of the wall connector or in this case a charging accessory. And as Patrick has mentioned, it's good to have options. If you need the options, it's good to have the options, and the more the merrier. Absolutely.
Yeah. I would probably just keep it, just have the full menagerie of adapters. But
yes, yeah. When I first started driving in EV, I had a whole backpack full of adapters. Yeah. This was 2007, right? So I mean, I could plug in marinas, I could plug in at campgrounds, I could plug in at dryer outlets, whether they were before 1992, between 92 and 94, and then again the ones after 94 were getting a different one. And so I had a whole backpack full of these things. I was a gorilla charging.
When you started with EVs, you actually needed all those, but
yes,
but when you got to Tesla, you probably didn't.
Yeah,
this is true.
Yeah,
which is why as soon as I got my Tesla, I bought the CHAdeMO adapter because I'm like, I want to be ready for anything. And then I'm like, hey, I've never used this thing. This is the Tesla's network is. I just assumed it was going to be like everything else, or I'd have to kludge my way through. And I
got mine updated more than I actually used it.
Yes, me too.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a different story with Tesla as we have all seen. Yeah. But barring that, let's do this story in Florida that Patrick's got for us.
What? Florida? Yeah. All
Florida
right.
Man.
So yeah, Florida man. This is the opposite of Florida man. This is somebody in Florida that is actually doing something really cool. So Coral Gables, town in Florida, the mayor there is directing their police chief to start the procurement process to acquire a Tesla to be used by the police department. So the city has been using it. They have a fleet of over 70 EVs now. It includes Nissan Leafs, Chevy Bolts, and so the fact that we've covered many police departments on here getting Teslas and using them. And so their police chief is going to do what the mayor asked. They're going to get one, and they're going to try it out. And I'm sure as soon as they do, they will see that they are saving money on fuel, that are saving money on maintenance, and it is likely to be the the first crack in the dam and helping to break the iceberg. I don't know what the right analogy is, but they're going to get one, they're going to love it, and they're going to get more.
Well, this is a story. This is a story of a mayor that's already seen the balance sheet on the other side of several departments, right? He's looking at the savings that's coming from those other departments using an EV, and his mandate is to save the city money. So, hey, police department, time to start getting with the times. Get yourself a Tesla. We can start saving money on those idling police cruisers that are sitting around town, and saving on maintenance and the fuel that they use. So let's get with the program and start running up a procurement and get one of these vehicles. Because, of course, he's seeing it from the dollar and cents side of things. And with that many EVs, 70 plus EVs already in the city fleet, obviously they're saving a boatload of money.
And I don't want to hear any whining over there about the performance model. You're getting base model because it's faster than that crap you were buying from Ford and Chevy. And don't say that it won't work, because I already saw 20 police departments across North America do it.
Yes, that was exactly my next point, is that every police department that does this is another one that if your police department is thinking about it, they don't have to be the first. They don't even have to be the second. They can have a whole list of other police departments around the country, in other countries that have done this and how it's really worked for them. And we were just talking about how Tesla has a lot of charging infrastructure. So they can charge up during the day, they can charge overnight, they can charge in the depot. They can. This is awesome, and it's really cool to see that these are not just glorified golf carts. These are actual real cars that can get the job done.
Right. And if they want to be like the Thai police, they could Thailand police, they could actually get the performance models if they want.
Yeah.
Still have savings. They just won't be as great as if they gone with a dual motor.
Yeah. Exactly. So another city seeing the benefits, which is great to see. Absolutely.
I guess you'd really only need them in like California or someplace with heavy Tesla penetration, because who else can run from you except a performance model? And even then you'll
that's
catch
funny.
up.
Yeah. We tried to catch it, but they had a performance model and we don't, Mr. Mayor. How come we can't get a fancy one?
a reason to uptick on the next order. Absolutely.
Then you're going to see a bill coming in. You can't sell performance models in the state.
Next story. Harris Ranch, California hosted a Tesla takeover.
They did.
So what happened was that they had an unexpected guest show up, and I believe that I can hopefully share the video here.
Yeah.
Boom, share. Whoops, that's me. There it is.
Very cool.
Seen the video?
Yeah.
Yes.
So TeslaSemi showed up at Harris Ranch, the Frito-Lay version, just to show its support. Like last year, there were hundreds and hundreds of Tesla owners that did show up at Harris Ranch, which of course has been expanded to almost 100 charging locations at this one supercharger. Or actually, it's split between two physical superchargers, but really they're within stone's throw of each other. So almost 100 locations, stalls available for charging. So a perfect location to get hundreds of Tesla owners together, have a little mini celebration, and extra cherry on the cake was that the Semi showed up. So fantastic.
So is this like the Northeast ones where it's like north and south, or is this because it kind of doglegs on another part of the lot? I know there's one that does that. I think
this is separated by a building.
Okay.
So it's kind of north and south of the actual location, but I believe they're all part of the same complex. It's just that physically they're broken up.
Gotcha.
Yeah, this one, this spot is a really important. If you're driving from the Bay Area to LA, Bay Area to Southern California, this is you're definitely going to be stopping here.
Yeah.
So having 100 stalls there is a really good idea.
Yeah.
Exactly. Next story we're going to touch upon is Patrick, about Tesla trying to sweeten the pot to see if Patrick will give up his unlimited supercharging Model X.
Yeah, it's all about me, I'm sure it is. I don't do a lot of supercharging, but I have in the last. We had a long weekend, President's Day, and we went up to Astoria. That was a lot of fun. Then we went down to Corvallis. So I've put some miles on the X recently, and having free supercharging is really nice. You just pull in, plug in, and go get a coffee, take a bio break, and come back, and it's ready to go. And I've talked about in the past how you can't get that anymore. No matter if you buy the most expensive vehicle that Tesla makes, you can't get free supercharging or unlimited premium data. These things are just not available anymore. But what they are offering for people in the situation that like I'm in, where you have free unlimited supercharging, is $5,000 on your trade-in of an SRX that has unlimited supercharging if you buy another SRX. So you would get to upgrade to the latest and greatest. You would lose that feature, but depending on how much you supercharge, $5,000 is going to pay for a lot of supercharging. And I just did some quick math. If you were spending about $30 a month, it'll last you 14 years. That's all. Now, if you drive like Casey and you spend a little more than $30 a month, then maybe you don't want to do this. But
Right.
for not non-iron butts, it's probably a great deal.
Butts and towing. Let me see real quick.
Yeah, Casey tows. So Casey's in a different category already.
That's true.
When it comes to using up supercharger miles.
Yeah, more watt hours per mile if you're hauling something, for sure.
My charge summary here, and yeah, I'm pushing. I thought it was 4,000 last I looked, but let's see. Right here, I have spent 20.2 megawatt hours through supercharging, and no, it's almost $3,000. $2,734.09, and
Okay, over how many years?
13 days, 1 hour, and 1 minute charging, and that was since 2018.
2018.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to concern you, but there's a baby over your shoulder, Casey. So obviously, it depends on your situation. But in Patrick's case, obviously the $5,000 would be an incentive, and in Casey's case, it may not quite be an incentive. Certainly, upgrading to the newer car would be nice and getting a $5,000 discount. But Casey is churning out those supercharger miles a lot more than your typical driver. So it depends on the situation as to whether or not this 5K would entice somebody.
Yeah, and the other thing is I'm on the fence of when I trade my X in, am I going to get a Y or another X? I really like the X. Y is probably more practical. But if I'm getting 5,000 off the X, maybe I'll go that way instead, which is what I really want to do anyway.
Right. I would like to keep the X and then just add a CyberTruck, assuming that I can get the date to be somewhere near where they originally said for the configuration I picked. But who knows?
Yeah, right. Yeah. There's a lot of moving targets there, a lot of balls in the air, as they like to say.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of balls in the air, Tesla and Mexico continue to do this dance. Where Mexico ministers keep saying, government officials keep saying, there's going to be an announcement shortly. It's going to be good for Mexico. It's happening shortly. And we've been hearing this since the end of last year, that there's been this move towards a Mexican plant that is imminent. We've also heard that it's moved around a little bit. Is it going to be near Mexico City, which the latest has said is going to be a little closer to the border with Texas, which was the original report. And one extra little bit of information that I found interesting was that the president of Mexico had warned Tesla that there could be water concerns based on the area in Mexico that they picked to build something. Mexico, certain Mexican states have an issue with water availability. And of course, Tesla, if it's manufacturing, uses water for many things besides cooling the machinery down to, being the base of their paint system. Water is used all the time in manufacturing plants. So I found it interesting that the president of Mexico, who's expecting to deal with Elon directly on this, or have a part in it at least, has warned Tesla about water shortages based on where the plant would be built. So just a kind of a heads up warning. And I just want to say, Elon, if you're listening, Canada doesn't have the issue with the water. So not being biased or anything, just want you to know we got lots of water. So
I appreciate you getting in a plug for your country. That's awesome.
But that's something that was new to the mix this week. And again, they were saying that an announcement is imminent, but nothing has happened yet. So I'm not sure what's going on. Is it the dance of looking for tax incentives and the best deal possible based on where the plant would be placed? Maybe it's battling state against state in Mexico. Not really sure, but there certainly has been a lot of talk about Mexico, and it just seems to be heating up.
So I was watching a video about the geography of Mexico that explained why the population is where it is and why we've got the industry we have where it is, and the industry is where it is because it's basically free to get the parts and goods into the U.S. To the point where it's closer to us than it is to their own population center. The other thing to look at there is they were pointing out on their latest announcement that it was near an air facility, and Tesla rarely airlifts cars, and usually if they do, it's like a cold weather test to Alaska or a cold weather test down to Australia, New Zealand. They don't generally deliver the cars by air.
No,
yeah,
that's kind of expensive.
Some expensive delivery fees.
Yeah. So I'm gonna take that with a grain of salt as well. And they're probably gonna at least looking at doing something in Mexico. But right now, it sounds like this is another case of Tesla in India, Tesla in Mexico. They're just back and forth in negotiations, and we'll see if anything becomes of it, or if one party just isn't flexible enough, or both, to get anything done.
Yeah. So we will see, but that dance is currently going on, and Tesla's being certainly a lot more quiet about it than what the Mexican officials have been. So, they're trying to get votes. They're trying to be elected for next term. They're trying to look great in front of their constituents. So I can understand
3,000 jobs.
Yeah, I can understand why, definitely. But we'll keep our eye on it.
Yeah, we teased maybe we'll find out something next week. Maybe new Gigafactory locations will be announced at Investor Day as well.
Could be, yeah.
Because Master Plan 3, that's one of the big agenda items, and we know that it's going to be about scale, about going to massive scale, which sounds like they should be announcing at least one more supercharger location, and if not 2 or 3.
Not supercharger.
Oh, sorry. Gigafactory. Thank you. Yeah. Hear what I mean, not what I say.
We're all over this show.
And speaking of that, we're going to get together next week for the Investor Day. We're going to try to start off the live feed about half hour before. So certainly keep your eye on your Twitter feed for that announcement. We don't know the time yet, but again, about half hour before is look like when we'll try to go to air. So you can join us next week for Investor Day right here.
Yeah.
Next, Casey's got a story about the CyberTruck, which is on everyone's mind.
So our friends at Drive Tesla Canada managed to collect a couple of videos for us, and so the way they phrased it was the CyberTruck's prototype was spotted with its air suspension cranked, which to me especially like in their tweet, they use a different phrase than cranked. Made it sound like it was like bottomed out, it was overloaded. But let's take a look and see what they're talking about here. There's air suspension on what is likely max, or near it. Can you imagine how tall it is already, and then like lift it up another foot? I mean, you can see it next to those workers there, and then it is stationary and much clearer.
And that's coming from CyberTruck Owners Club.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Still all the way up there. I'd say that probably is close to max, because that's what my X and S both look like when you put them at max, as far as like the extension. Not that height, but like just the way that the components look.
And that, of course, is a construction worker that has just lost their job.
Pretty much.
You do the lights, the lighting guys.
Especially if you hear his voice, see his silhouette.
Yeah. He released his voice, saw he had a hard hat on. He's done. So that's unfortunate, but certainly it's some great photos of the air suspension maxed out.
So this is somewhere in between some of the prototypes we've seen lately, because it doesn't have the new mirrors, but it does have the new headlight location.
Without the headlights installed yet.
Oh, they're there. Like
is it?
yeah, at the very end you can see it reflecting.
Okay, yeah, maybe there's just some cover missing.
It's powered off.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that was cool.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. So that was leaked information, but and again, could be part of Investor Day too. Maybe something about the Cybertruck could come up for as well. There's so many things that could be possible for next week. We really don't know, but we've mentioned a few of them during today's show, and that could certainly be another one. But with that, we will wait for next week. So thanks everyone for joining us tonight. Appreciate it. If you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up. Press that subscribe button. That helps us out immensely. It doesn't cost you a dime, but helps us out. And also for some shout outs, what do you got for us, Patrick? Anything going on you'd like to mention?
I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org. And I blog occasionally at carswithcords.net, like it says over there.
Fantastic. And hopefully you don't have to use your storm mode. Actually, storm mode's activated, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I should see if it's still in storm watch mode. I'll check that while...
Very good. Casey, what do you got for us?
Catch us on Sunday at youtube.com @KCGreen. And we've got a lively discussion for everything that's new in the world of green living and Tesla and other EVs, recalls, and just whatever comes up. We got a grab bag. It's fun, and then we'll randomly just go on to the next thing. It's a blast.
Fantastic.
Yep. So here it is. It says storm watch. A winter storm is forecast for your area. Powerwall has fully charged to provide backup protection. So it looks like it'll be that way at least for till 4 a.m.
That'd be cool if right after they have the storm watch, they have a grid stabilization event, and so you can just get it back down off 100.
Yeah, it says grid's buying back at double price. You're taking it. Fantastic. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for being with us. We thank Lee Moon for the music we use every week. And we'll get together next week on Investor Day and find out what's happening in the Tesla life. Good night, everyone.
Stay positive.